We are live. Okay.
Oh, hello. Welcome back.
I'm gonna switch it to Janice. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll spotlight you for everyone, Janice, and you're gonna be good to go.
Oh my goodness, there I am. Good morning, everybody. Thumbs up, Angela, Holly. You can hear me crystal clear. Perfect.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, and seeing myself nice and large. I just need you all to know, especially those of you who don't know me. This is enormous hair. I tried to have a shower to make it smaller for you all this morning. I needed a haircut before the last shutdown, and so I'm now officially over a month overdue. So it's getting into mullet territory here.
Oh, it's very
Anyway,
impressive.
enough about my mullet. But thank you to all of you at Edmonton Fibre Frolic. It's an honor to join you here. I'm coming at you from Edmonton. I'm a Squatchy-Waskahikan Treaty 6 territory. I heard that most folks are in Edmonton, but there are people from around the province and around the country. Is that true, Angela, Holly?
Yes, yes.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, so I'm imagining there are many people who have no idea who I am. I guess I could pretend I'm some sort of expert in the fiber arts, but I better not. Instead of being an expert, I'm far from it. I am a politician. My role is I'm an NDP MLA for the riding of Edmonton Highlands Norwood, and I'm also the critic for status of women and LGBTQ2S plus issues. And I have a background in education. I was a teacher in rural Alberta. And now I've made my home here in Edmonton with my cat Oregano, who you might see later. He's sleeping right now. He's had a busy morning. Yeah, so I just wanted, when I was asked by the lovely folks at Edmonton Fibre Frolic to do this, I thought, gosh, I have very little knowledge, if any at all, of this topic, but they asked me to talk about inclusivity. So I thought, you know what? That's a topic I can talk about. So just to tell you a little bit about the context from which I'm working, I'm a couple of things. I'm the only openly queer MLA in the Alberta legislature. So some folks call me the ML gay. And, it's interesting because when I was elected in 2019, upon realizing that, I had a lot of people ask me like, it must be so challenging because you have to speak for the entire community, and there must be a burden kind of thing. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I'm surrounded by 23 NDP MLAs who are all incredible allies. So by no means do I have to be the only one speaking to these issues. And also, it's really, really important to acknowledge that, when we're talking about something inclusivity, that we look at our own privilege. And, I am I'm a member of the LGBTQ2S plus community, but I'm also a white cisgender woman with a lot of, with economic security. And so, for me to even claim to try to speak for the community is not only disingenuous, but it's just not appropriate, because I can't possibly claim to speak for a racialized trans person, as an example. We know that racialized trans folks experience a whole heck of a lot of violence and discrimination. I've had a pretty safe and pretty, I guess, easy journey in my own sexuality and gender identity. So, like I said, I can't possibly claim to speak for somebody else in the community. But what I can do is I can try my darndest to amplify their voices in the legislature until the time that I have a racialized trans person sitting beside me, right? And, I'm thinking about Marilyn's incredible words earlier. And, I obviously, a lot of my focus is on uplifting LGBTQ2S plus issues, but I'm also really passionate about Indigenous issues. And we still have huge issues with underrepresentation of Indigenous folks in politics, as an example. So, one of the issues that I'm really passionate about is missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit folks. And it's something I talk about a lot in the legislature. It's unfortunate that, I don't have incredible Indigenous women with me in the legislature who can share those voices and share those stories. But again, until then, I'll try to do my best and try to share those voices as accurately as I can. And so I think about that. I think about Marilyn's words. Obviously, the recent news around Kamloops Residential School is absolutely heartbreaking, and I want to talk a little bit. It reminds me just a little bit about the context of the Alberta legislature, just for those folks who don't know. So when I was elected, like I said, April 2019, one of the first things that people said was that, we've got a premier in Jason Kenney in the government, and don't worry, Angela Hawley, I'll try not to be too hyper partisan here, but we've got a government that has folks who have homophobic histories and pasts, including the premier, and arguably presence as well. And people said, well, you're probably going to be really busy in your role. And I honestly said, like, oh no, like this is a government that campaigned on. They had a little motto a slogan that they campaigned on: jobs, economy, pipeline. And they said that they were going to stay away from what they called divisive social issues. And so I thought, you know what, there's probably not going to be much to talk about in the area of queer and trans rights, because they're going to stay away from that. I was wrong, very wrong. Spoiler alert. One of the first pieces of legislation that they introduced in 2019 was called Bill 8. Bill 8, in a nutshell, rolled back rights for LGBTQ students to access gay-straight alliances. Basically, their ability to have a safe space in schools, because we know for some kids, the only safe space they have is at school. So that made this government, the UCP government, the first government to actually roll back LGBTQ2S+ rights, right? At a time when governments are progressing, sorry, I keep touching my giant hair, governments are progressing and moving forward in that area, this government took us back. So I say that, and I give that example to just kind of highlight what it is we're up against when we're talking about the topic of inclusivity. Because people will say to us, people will say to me, people will say to members of the community that, like, well, why do you need a parade? Why do you need to raise a flag? And this is timely because Pride Month is coming up in just a few days. Pride Month here starts in June. And, I talk about the fact that there's still so much work to be done, right? We don't raise a flag for someone like Janis, who feels safe and secure and comfortable in her sexuality. We don't raise a flag so that some UCP minister can feel good about herself. We don't. We raise a flag. We march because there's still a lot of people here in Alberta and around the world who aren't free to be themselves. And that's why we do it. And that's why we talk, that's why we have these conversations. And that's why I'm so grateful for all of you, because what I've learned in my short amount of research of the fiber community, is it the fiber community? I don't know. I drink fiber every morning, so I don't want to consider that fiber community. Anyways, so but what I've learned is that there's a movement afoot with the fiber community around inclusivity and around things like denouncing white supremacy and embracing LGBTQ2S+ rights. The list goes on, and so I think that's really, really awesome and admirable. I think it's really easy for folks who maybe aren't directly working in the area of education or anti-racism to say that, like, we don't need to weigh into these debates. Our focus is on, let's say, knitting, or somebody's focus might be on theater, whatever it might be. But no, all of these issues intersect. And I think it's a cop-out to say that I just want to stay away from these issues. It's like when I talk to people and they say, I'm not political, or politics doesn't affect me. What? Politics doesn't affect you? You're not interested in politics? Well, actually, it affects you greatly. And although you might not be interested in politics is interested in you, right? So I just really respect the fact that you are having these conversations and that you're willing to delve into it. I mean, I can tell you, especially on the issue of white supremacy and racism, which was the final topic that I wanted to touch on, because again, I know there's been those conversations around denouncing white supremacy and racism and Islamophobia. You know, I've never hesitated to weigh into these debates. And I'll tell you, it hasn't always served me well. An example was we've had in the Edmonton area alone, over the last year, we had more than 6 attacks on Black Muslim women in our city. My Black Muslim neighbors here did not feel safe. Many of them still don't feel safe to walk our streets. And so I called on this government, I called on Albertans to denounce this crap. Nobody should feel unsafe. And we saw, and we continue to see, a rise in Islamophobia. And so I was calling this out. I was continuing to call out white supremacists that we were seeing marching on our streets, masquerading as anti-maskers, when really it was just an opportunity to highlight their racism and their white supremacy. Called that out. One of the things that happened to me a couple of months ago in February was my office was vandalized. My office was spray painted with messages around me being Antifa, for I guess, you know, calling out fascism and white supremacy. Yeah, it sucked. I got a lot of really awful messages from racists and white supremacists who, you know, were basically threatening me and trying to silence me. But I'm not going to stop. And if any of you are experiencing those barriers too, you're getting people who are telling you to stop talking about these issues. Let's focus on, you know, on fiber and the arts. No, absolutely not. That's not how we address these issues. That's not how we, you know, improve as a society and tackle these really serious issues of white supremacy and racism. And so, again, just kudos to all of you for being willing to have these conversations, for being willing to engage in what can often be difficult conversations. And yeah, the more difficult it gets, just know that the more important it is that you continue. And so I told Angela and Holly that I probably wouldn't be able to speak the full time. I don't know, I've done pretty well here, but I didn't check when I started talking. Typical politician. So I don't know if there are any questions or comments from anybody, but I would love to just stop my remarks there and just again thank you all for the fantastic work that you're doing.
Thank you so much for everything that you do.
Yeah.
Truly. I wish we could, yeah. I know this is a short amount of time, but we are very grateful.
Yeah, we'll have to go for coffee with you sometime.
Yes, yes. We plan to do chats, more of our Instagram live interviews through the Frolic on Instagram. And yeah, that's what that is. And we would love to have you chat again.
Love it. That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just so everyone knows, if you can actually see this now on the main stage, we've obviously had some difficulties with our ticketing system. Sorry, I'm just going to pin us. Thank you so much, Janis.
Yes. Feel free to sit and watch this dramedy unfold if you'd like, but you don't have to.
So just so that all of you know, if you have finally gotten access and you can see us right now, we appreciate your patience. Yeah, this is our first time doing this. We knew there'd be a little bit of human and technical error. We didn't know there would be quite this much, and we're really, really sorry. For all of you that are emailing or sending us DMs or commenting on our social media, send us an email. That's the quickest way to get a link that will work. Although, like I'm saying this here, you're not going to see it unless you've gotten access. So I don't know why I'm saying it, but we're really sorry. I still don't actually know. I have someone helping us out in the background, and I've given her a workaround to send out. So I don't know what the issue is, but I've gotten a workaround, and so I hope that you can enjoy the rest of the programming. We're going to scoot the schedule down a little bit now. Next on the schedule was supposed to be going live with Caroline from Ancient Arts. Instead, we're going to play the wellness sponsor for you in just a few seconds. And then we will go live with Caroline. So thank you so much for your patience. I hope that this won't ruin the day for you and you'll be able to enjoy the rest of the Fibre Frolic because it's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.